Hey guys, I'm gonna start a little bit early today. So this is the first time we're gonna be doing this video series called Sunday Fandom News, where every Sunday I'll compile a bunch of news stories and just talk about it and give my opinions and the state of the geekdoms that I follow, mainly Avatar, Star Wars, Harry Potter, Mass Effect, some things like that. But other things. Obviously, from the thumbnail, you guys know I'm gonna be talking about Peter Parker today, among other things. Got some Mass Effect news, some Tomi Adeyemi news, Tristan Strong by Kwame Mbalia. So let's get into it. So the first one that I would like to talk about today is the Mass Effect remaster. So it's been rumored that Mass Effect was going to get a remaster for years now, and it is finally seeming to come out. Some of the rumors now seem to be a little bit more legit, and GameSpot recently has done an article about the remaster actually being delayed. Like they wanted it to come out, BioWare wanted it to come out this holiday season, but it seems like it might not come out until next year. And that's something that I have been looking forward to because I have not been able to replay Mass Effect since I had it on Xbox 360. And I think I played the last one on PS3, if I'm not mistaken. But really, I've been trying to look for it. The only place you can really play it on right now is like PC. I own a Mac. I think I can play it on the Mac, but I don't prefer playing games on a computer like mouse keyboard. I'm definitely a console guy and like a controller guy, so those are the things I want to play on. So I've been looking for the remaster, or not even so much remaster, but just like a port of the game, like the whole trilogy on PS4 or on PS5, which seems like it might be PS5. Maybe that's the reason for the delay, is that it might be a transition period between PS4 PS5. Maybe they need to tink or work with some stuff so that they can make it work for next generation. But I am definitely looking forward to it. I have not gotten my Mass Effect fix in several years, and I definitely need. I'm almost to the point where I might buy a Xbox 360 just so I can like play it again. Next up, though, for our news articles, we have Tomi Adeyemi. I don't know if you all are familiar with it on this channel because I'm typically talking about Airbender. Although you should be familiar with her because her book, which is called Children of Blood and Bone, which came out 2 years ago. Now the Children of Virtue and Vengeance is now out. A lot of that magic system and a lot of what it was influenced from was The Last Airbender, but basically like a West African Airbender. So in terms of that overlapping with my channel, that's a huge thing. Of course, you guys might not know this, but she has a movie deal right now with Lucasfilm where they're going to adapt her book series, which is in the process right now. I believe the director, I forgot the name of the director, but it's the same guy who directed one of the Mandalorian episodes and a few other things. I think he also did Dope, the movie Dope. I might be wrong about that, but they have a pretty good director that's on board. There's been very little information right now. It seems like it's just in the developmental stages right now. I'm actually on her email newsletter list. So the last information we got was like a few months ago, and then she did talk about it on her Instagram a little bit about them, or a while back it was showing costume concept art that they're doing, but also she was saying a few weeks ago, I think, that she had a meeting with them about the movie. So hopefully that means there's some progress. I hope that this movie does not get caught in developmental hell as some movies do, especially book adaptations and movie adaptation, especially something as big as this, because it's a huge West African fantasy. And I would have hoped that they would have fast tracked it after Black Panther and the success of that. But of course, the pandemic is going on, so I'm sure that's slowing things down. But sorry, the actual article that we're talking about today is that she actually made the Time 100. And the amazing thing about this is that this girl, I believe, graduated at Harvard at age 22, 23, got a seven-figure movie deal right when she got out of college, So she's been kind of like a big deal for the past few years because she's a very young author who's seen a lot of success, not only with her first book series ever, but that she's getting a movie deal with it as well, and that this movie should be pretty big and significant. So I am looking forward to that. I think it's well deserved that she is on the Time 100 most influential people at the age of what? She's 27 now, 28. I'm not sure how old she is now. But that's amazing. So I just wanted to give a shout out to Tomi because I am definitely following in her footsteps, and as me being an author and writing and all that kind of stuff. So I'm definitely looking forward to what she's going to put out in the future with all her future works. Next up, we're going to be talking about Sony buying WB Games. So as some of you guys might have known, Microsoft bought out Bethesda, and people thought that this was like a huge, huge thing because it's like, why did they actually do this? I mean, obviously, you know why they do this, so they can own all that IP. Although from those articles and from some of the news that we got, they're not really owning the IP, or Bethesda still will have the option to have their games on other platforms. So it's not really certain what this big buyout is, but the huge thing about it was that it was a multi-billion-dollar deal, if I'm not mistaken. And that's kind of like Microsoft's play against Sony, is that they can buy whatever they want because they are Microsoft. They're like one of the biggest tech companies in the world. Sony doesn't have that same kind of capital and that same kind of money. So the idea that they're buying WB Games seems interesting, and it seems like the reason for this is because AT&T, who is the parent company of WB Games, seems to be in some debt trouble right now, and they kind of want to sell off some of their assets so that they can offset that debt. And with Sony buying WB Games, as we know, WB Games is the company behind Hogwarts Legacy, which is coming out, the new Harry Potter game. So it'd be interesting to see if they be like, well, I think at this point it's already been confirmed that Hogwarts Legacy is going to be multi-platform. It's not going to be a PS4 exclusive, or sorry, a Sony exclusive. But maybe in the future, this means that WB Games will have exclusivity to Sony, or any of their other properties. I'm not really familiar with much of WB Games besides their Harry Potter stuff. So it'll be interesting to see how this pans out with Sony trying to buy them out right now, and what that means for the future of Sony platform of gaming, and of course WB Games. And also on the subject of WB Games, they seem to be, I mean, as I already talked about before, they were distancing themselves from JK Rowling, and they are continuing that distancing. Although the head of the company did say that while they disagree with her standpoint, they still think that she should be allowed to give her opinion, which is something I'm glad they actually brought up, because I do agree with that sentiment that while, yes, you might disagree with what she's been saying in the past, we shouldn't try and silence her. That's why I don't really like cancel culture, for two reasons. For two reasons I don't like cancel culture, because it totes the line of stepping over people's ability to have freedom of speech. But then also, I don't think cancel culture is conductive to changing somebody or educating them. And I think that's more so what we should be doing than just being like nerp. But again, the right now, the officially WB Games is trying to completely distance themselves from Rowling and her opinions, and everything that she's been doing with all that stuff. And then, of course, we have the Spider-Man face change, which was pretty crazy for me, because I haven't, just so you guys know, I hadn't actually played the first Spider-Man game. It wasn't until the Miles Morales game got announced that I was like, okay, I probably should play the PS4 version. But in doing that, I also heard that the PS4 version would get a remaster on the PS5, and it would be packaged with Miles Morales if you bought that version of the game. So I was like, okay, I'll just wait, and I'll just buy the remastered version of it. But then, of course, Marvel Games, or whoever is the who's behind, I guess Sony. Yes, Sony is the one who's behind the game itself. They show off like, okay, guys, we're going to show you like the new graphics for the new game. And you're thinking, okay, cool. She's going to be like upgraded graphics, but they're completely changing Peter Parker's face. And it's completely the wrong face to me. And the one thing that I did like about the story about PS4 Spider-Man, which I haven't played, but I know of it. I know kind of what it's about. I like the idea that it was about a Peter Parker who was well established into his career as Spider-Man, and he looked like an older Spider-Man. And I think that is a more interesting take than what we usually see from Spider-Man, which is young high school, or maybe early college. Now we had a Peter Parker who looks like he's older, who looks like he's actually going to be someone we can believe, who's been doing this for a while, especially since the establishment of the series itself is that he's already fought Goblin, he's already fought the Sinister Six. He's done all that already, and this is just us dropping into the middle of his, not even to the middle of his career, but well into his career. So to have this new face change, I don't like it. Just so I can say that right off the bat, I don't like it, and the reason for it is because of what I was saying prior to this, is that it looks like a very young version of Peter Parker. And also, I kind of agree with what other people were saying, that he looks like a Tom Holland figure, or they're trying to ape on Tom Holland's likeness. But apparently this voice, or the new face, is actually more similar to the voice actor that they got. And I don't really care about that. I don't need, and that was the reasoning for having the face model. Or the change in the face is because they wanted it to look like the actual voice actor who's voicing the character. And I don't see that as a very good reason when it doesn't really fit, or at least to me, it doesn't fit. And I have seen some opinions out there that people say, no, this is a better face. I like this face better. It looks more like a Peter Parker. But for making it the reason that they wanted that, because they wanted it to look like the actor, and changing it, that's just weird. And also, it's just a weird gaming thing in general that, you can do that nowadays. You know what I mean? You can easily just drop in new models. What I think to make everyone happy is that they should just have the option to toggle. Like if you want the original model, if they really want this new model, then sure, that's fine. But for me, it's like, nah, I don't think that's really great. I don't think we should be doing that. Like, can we not do that, please? Okay, so for our next one here, sorry, my screen went out. Next article I have here is that Tristan Strong #2 got released. So I don't know if you guys are familiar with Rick Riordan. He is the author of the Percy Jackson series. He recently, well, not recently, but like a few years ago, created a new imprint so that we could see other mythology from other cultures that aren't just, Eurocentric, because obviously he was doing like Greek mythology, Roman mythology, and I think he did some Norse mythology as well. A little bit Egyptian in there as well with the Kane Chronicles. But he has been doing this for other authors too in their own voices. So we have one in particular, one that I've been following is Tristan Strong. The first book being called Tristan Strong Punches a Hole Through the Sky, which I think was a pretty good first book. I didn't enjoy it as much as I thought I would, but I do think it hits that target audience of people who are really into Percy Jackson, because it's that same, young kid who's coming into this new world of mythology, and it's about, African-American folklore and all that. So you have Brer Rabbit and you have John Henry in the story. And I love that aspect of it and all of that. So really, I just wanted to give the shout out that book is now out. I haven't read it yet. I actually need to. I thought I pre-ordered it. I thought I pre-ordered the hard copy, but apparently I didn't. So I need to buy it and read it, because I did like the first book enough to continue the series. But I think I thought the story was going to be a little bit different. Or, well, the thing about I probably should do a review of the first book actually. But the reason why I didn't enjoy the first book as much as I thought I would is because it just felt like it was just, and it's the same criticism I have against the Percy Jackson series as well, is that it's just action after action after action, and it's a little bit too fast paced for me. I feel like I wanted to like sit with the world a little bit more and understand it a little bit. I feel like things were just happening too quickly. But I mean, it's not that big of a deal. Like I definitely can go through it. But yeah, Tristan Strong, #2, it's out. It's called Tristan Strong Destroys the World. So what's funny about that is that the first book is called, Punches a Hole Through the Sky, and then the second book is called Destroys the World. So it's like, what? Like, what do you do after this? Like, destroys the universe probably is like the next book. Like, how do you progress from there? So the last story I have here is that Black Panther's replacement might happen in Avengers 5. This is a very new story that just is developing right now. It's probably a rumor. I just saw it earlier today, but it's kind of weird because I feel like it was weird to me even that they took this long to get Black Panther 2 out anyway, when usually most of their series, whether we're talking about like Iron Man 1 to Iron Man 2 or some of the series, Thor 1, Thor 2, they didn't have this much time in between movies. Now, obviously the pandemic is happening, but I'm speaking pre-pandemic. Like the second movie of Black Panther, technically, if they're going on that same timeline, should have been out last year, should have been out 2020 or at least a 2021. But of course, maybe that happened because of what was going on with Chadwick. I know that he said that he was not going to agree to new contracts for the movies. And that behind the scenes, they had already been talking about having Shuri coming in and taking place, but they were thinking about doing that more as a slow burn. They weren't thinking about doing it so quickly. Also, that's a rumor too. Or I don't know if I think it actually has been confirmed that Shuri is going to be the new Black Panther in the new movie. But I think it's weird that they would show her in Avengers 5 rather than show her first in her own movie. And it's weird that they are taking so long with Black Panther in general. I would think they would want to get those movies out a little bit more quickly. But obviously, with the current circumstances, it does make sense that it's taking longer for that to get out. But I'm interested. I'm like it's going to be interesting how they're going to deal with this situation, how they're going to reintroduce the character as being through Shuri. And it feels like it would be kind of cheap if they do the off-screen death, but that's like the only option they have. It felt kind of cheap with the whole Leia Organa stuff when Carrie Fisher passed between episodes 8 and 9. That felt kind of awkward too. So it's gonna be interesting how they deal with it. But yes, so I'm gonna open it up to you guys. Which stories were most interesting to you this week? Or I mean, obviously, I'm gonna be starting doing this week to week. Some of this news story stuff was actually a little bit older than a week, obviously, because I'm starting this for the first time. But yeah, in the comments below, like I want to hear what you guys are talking about all the news articles that I talked about today. Let's try and keep the conversation to just the news article. I'll do this for like the next 6 minutes of a Q&A, so we can maybe go deeper into this and maybe get you guys' opinions about what's been happening with some of these news stories. Oh, here we go. So we got one from Kid Haru. Yeah, not a fan of the new face. He's talking about the Peter Parker face, of course. That said, as much as I prefer the original face, looking at it on my TV and knowing what scenes captivated me, I think the new face face will work, sadly. So I don't know what you're referring to because I have not played the game yet. Um, but I'm sure what you're referring to is some sort of, scene or some emotional whatever, or maybe whatever is happening in the context of the story. But but I'm sure, well, hopefully it works out well, right? Like we can hope that it works out well. What does the person say? Lucasfilm is secretly changing the High Republic, which is why it is delayed. Oh, maybe I can talk about that next week because I actually did just recently put a notification on my browser to give me news for anything that's High Republic related. I wonder how this is going to change. Okay, I'll keep my ear to the ground for that one, and maybe we'll talk about that in future episodes, future live streams about the idea of the High Republic, because this is potentially going to be my re-entry point into Star Wars. Because as most of you guys know, I have had a little bit of a hiatus on Star Wars because I haven't really been digging it lately. I'm hoping that Mandalorian 2 is super good because I think the first season was solid but not great. But I'm hoping season 2 is going to be really good so I can get excited about Star Wars again. I'm hoping the High Republic is great because I would love to get back into Star Wars in a more significant capacity. So, do you think Shuri or Killmonger would be a better fit for the next BA? I would prefer it to be Shuri because I feel like there's a bad habit of characters just coming back from the dead, and I would prefer it if. Well, the only reason I think I will be okay with Killmonger coming back, and this is all on the basis on the back of the Doctor Strange stuff, because I think the next Doctor Strange movie is about the multiverse. So once they do the multiverse, you can do so much. That's how you can reinsert the X-Men. The Fantastic Four can get reinserted. You can add a live action Miles Morales with that. That would be the only way I'd be okay with Killmonger coming back. But if it's anything that is not multiverse related, then no, I would want Shuri for sure to be the next Black Panther for sure. Oops, here we go. Whoops. The old Peter face took some getting used to. This one just looks more familiar as Peter. I'm okay with the face structure because I do agree that the older face was a little weird because it was a little bit wider and his jaw line was a little bit more thick, and that's not commonly how we see Peter Parker. He's usually like a very slim looking person, right? So I'm okay with the new face. But what I'm not okay with is the age of the new face, because it looks like it's a freaking middle school, high school Peter Parker. Like, sure, yeah, keep that face, but just make him look a little bit older. Make him look like he's more a mid-20s Peter Parker, because that's the Peter Parker that is in, the series right now is a 20-something, mid-20s Peter Parker. And the main issue I have isn't the face itself, like the face structure. Like, I think I actually do agree that I think the face structure actually fits a little bit better. But I think the age of the face is what's bugging me. Are you hyped for the Lando series? I hear that that's a rumor. I don't think that's confirmed yet, but I probably am not hyped for that, because I hear that if it does happen, it's going to obviously be with Donald Glover, and I don't think Donald Glover is a very good Lando. And that's been a hot take I've had since the first trailer came out for him. Or no, since it was announced that he was going to be cast as Lando, I was like, he is not. Like, I love Donald Glover. Like, I've been following him since he was on Derek Comedy on YouTube. Like, so I've been with him for a lot longer than a lot of other people were. Like, when he did Childish Gambino and then he was on Community. Um, and I've always said that Lando is a much more smooth character than like the charm of Donald Glover isn't that he's smooth. It's kind of like his offbeat kind of geekiness that he has, and that doesn't translate to Lando to me. So I'm not really, if I'm gonna be honest, I'm not very excited for Lando series unless it was like an animated series or something like that. But if it's a live action, I wouldn't be very I wouldn't be looking forward to that. This person says, I think they are going to just do a recast, not kill off the Chadwick Boseman Black Panther, or have Shuri take his place. I believe, I might be mistaken, I might have to check my sources on this, but I believe it's actually confirmed that Shuri is going to take over as Black Panther. They're not recasting Chadwick Boseman. Someone says, yeah, that'll be interesting if we actually get the multiverse. I mean, we are. Like, the confirmed title for the next Doctor Strange movie is, I think, Into the Multiverse, or something with the multiverse. Like, the multiverse is in the actual title. So we could really split her off into some weirdness. Like, Marvel gets pretty weird with the multiverse, and I'm hoping they actually lean into that weirdness, because really it's going to be hard for them going into phase 4. Like, what is going to be the takeaway for phase 4? You know what I mean? So I think it'd be really cool if the multiverse, I think, is the best way to make it, to keep the interest, I would say. Okay, I think that is it for the comment because I'm gonna take one more comment from the live stream, but I'm not really finding one that's really good. Yeah, I'm not really saying anything, so maybe I'll wrap it up because I want to keep these under 30 minutes, about 20 minutes, so that these aren't super long. But I think that is it. Yeah, I think that's it for everything in the comments, and then kind of like my ideas for these things coming up. The thing I'm looking forward to the most definitely is the Mass Effect remaster. I hope that one still is on track. I hope that one comes out because I really love that series. And that's I think that's the main takeaway that I have from this one. Obviously, is the Mass Effect stuff. The Spider-Man face change is like weird. I probably will get used to it, but then also I have the whole idea of maybe I should play the original PS4 version and not buy the special edition of Miles Morales with the remastered PS5. I don't know. I haven't really decided yet, but that is it. I'll see you guys on the next one next week for my next fandom news. If you want to submit news to me, that might be cool too. If you guys want to submit news to me, you can do that at ytbandele@gmail.com. I'll put it in the chat right now. ytbandele@gmail.com. But that is it, guys. I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace, love. May the force be with you. Mischief managed. Be water, my friends. And this is my favorite YouTube channel on the Citadel. Bye.